So this is the basic syntax. You press Shift Enter, and you will execute the code as such. Okay, so indentation, as already mentioned, is very important in Python. Okay, now you need to define, there are no parentheses or curly brackets. You define blocks using indentation. So this is just all the syntax is at the same level. Now, for example, if you do something like this, you add an additional indentation without any reason, it will have an error. It will not execute. Okay? So you can add additional indentation if you have if statement, while statement, for loop, and so on. And look, now this is the example of the if statement. Okay, so I equal to 0, if I equal to 0, if equality, and then, so all this block will be defined inside the if statement. Okay, and now we're going to come back to the original level, initial level, n equal to 1. So what will be the value of n here? Yeah, it will be 1, and I equal to 1. So as you can see here, so it has executed. Okay. So data types, like in Java, like in C, we have different data types like int, double, float, string. Okay. So also there are data types in Python. So another difference Python with other languages like Java. In Java, you need to define the type in advance. For example, you make int I, or char character, or whatever, okay, or define the class. Now, Python is dynamically typed. The type is allocated dynamically depending on the value assigned to the variable. Okay, look at this example here. Now we have x equal to 3, y equal to 2.1, and x plus y, z equal to x plus y. Okay, so here, when you see x equal to 3, dynamically it's going to consider x as an int. I didn't make x is an integer. Okay, although there is a way on how to explicitly define a type, but this is not the common way or the common manner to do in Python. But in some of the cases, we enforce the type if we needed to use it later on into a specific format. But by default, you don't need to specify any type. So here, z will be of which type? Double, okay, or yeah, it will be of type double. And now it's possible to check what is the type of each variable. For example, I can make type of x, okay, using type x, type y, and type z. And here it will return. So this is a class of type int. This is a class of type float, and z will be a class of type float. Okay, let's create a few more examples. So here I define a string variable, Boolean variable, and hexadecimal. Okay, string variable here, name Muhammad, and I can print the student name. Here I define flag equal to true, and y equal to 0x fa2. This is an hexadecimal representation. And in each time I'm going to print the type of the variable here, and you will see now type of name is str. So this is the type string. And the type of flag is Boolean. And here the type of W, which is this one. What is the type of W? Is int. Okay, hexadecimal will be int also. And the type of V is a string. Okay, yeah. So an hexadecimal variable is considered as a string. Okay. So you can also remove a variable from the memory, because when you allocate a value to a variable, it will allocate a space in the memory. Okay, you can explicitly free the memory yourself. Okay, for example, I want to delete x. Look now, if I delete x and I want to print it, it doesn't exist. It was defined before here. Okay, so I can print x. I can take x here and let me print it just before deleting. Okay, so after deleting x, it's no longer existing into the memory. Okay, and you can see the syntax is very simple. Print x, x is not defined. Okay. So in Python, you can also do multiple assignments, x equal to y equal to z, 3.2, and it will assign the same variable. So same thing here, I can make multiple assignments. Look, name, okay, let me make it in a different line. Name, comma age, and is a student, equal to Ali, 22, and true. Okay, so it will assign each value depending on its order here into the sequence. And now later on you can print these values. Let me make them here. And you can also define a function, what we call method in Java. We can define functions. So let's take this function. It's called my function, and it defines three variables. Let's say x equal to 9, y equal to 2, z equal to 1, and it will return these three values, x, y, and z. So it's possible to return three values. Now, when I want to read these values, I can do it in different ways. Okay, I can make a, b, c equal, because I expect to have three values. This is what I expect, my function. Okay, now I can make print a. So what will be the value of a? 9. Okay. We can also do something like, if I make a equal my function, what will be the value of a? It will work. It will be the first one, which is x. So if you expect to return multiple values and you only read the first value, it will be the first returned value to be read. And okay, and we can verify this using print x, print a. Oh no, yeah, it will return all of them. This is called the tuple. Okay, it will return the whole tuple. It will return the whole tuple. Now, for example, if I make a and b, it doesn't accept. Okay, because it's expecting either the whole tuple or it's expecting the three variables, depending on how you want to read them. Okay, so now, for example, if I make this t as a tuple, my function tuple, it means this returned three values. Okay, so I can print t here, and you can extract each value by an index. I can make print t of 1. It's the second index, okay, or t0. So t0 will be 9. Okay, we will have index 0, 1, and 2 for the three values. Okay. And I can do also, for example, a, b, and c equal t0, t1, and t2. Okay, it's possible. Now, for example, if you want only to read two values, so if you see the previous example when we did a and b, ab equal to my function, it gave an error. Now, if I want to make it correct, I can actually add a placeholder. So, for example, I don't need this value, but I need to make a placeholder to say I want to read only a and b. I can also read, for example, a and c. Okay, I can make a placeholder c equal my function. It's the same as below. my function. Okay, so A and C now are defined at the first and the last value. Okay, you can also read B and C only. For example, I can make a placeholder here, make B and C equal my function. Okay, so all is possible. Okay, so now if we do like this, of course B was defined before, but basically we're reading here A and C only. Okay, so it's possible also to define complex number. It's natively defined in the Python types. Okay, you know about complex numbers. Okay, so we just need to add the G symbol here, and this will be considered as a complex number. You can also do casting, which is a type conversion. For example, you want to convert a type from int to float, or from string to int, or whatever conversion is possible. Okay, look at this example here. We can define x 2.354, and I can define, okay, take the integer part of x. So the integer part of x will be 2, and the type here will be int. So the original type of x is float. Okay, now I want to convert it to a float. Why? I convert n, which is int, to float. That's possible. So it will be written as 2.0, and I can define it as a complex number. It will be 2 plus 0g, and it can be defined as a string as well, 2.354, and this one is defined as a type string. So this is called casting. You know already about casting in Java. That's also possible in Python. So there are several math functions, easy to use, available. For example, if you want to calculate the absolute value, the ceiling of a variable, for example, this minus 2.56, you can take the ceiling, it's the upper value, minus 3. You can take the floor, okay, using floor here. Okay, this is the ceiling of a positive value and the floor of a positive value. I give you two examples about the positive and negative value. You can calculate the log, the exponential, the square root, the power of a value with another. So all these functions are available natively. We don't need to import, okay, any library. Oh no, we import here the math library. Okay, so look now how to import. Like for example, you import a package in Java. You can import modules or library or packages also in Python. So here we're going to use the math library or the math module. Here there are two ways on how we can do it. So we can import from math, import everything, and this is why here we are going to use ceil, floor, log, exponential, square root without any prefix. So another way is actually you can do it. I can do import math. Okay, because now I need to, let me restart the runtime because I want to show you the difference, because now it's this expression is already imported, but let's assume that we didn't execute this cell. Now if I do the same, and let me make the following prints. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. What does it say here? Ceil is not defined. Only it was defined. It's because on the way how we imported the libraries. So now if you want to use the following import statement, I need to add the math library. It's like adding the package name before, okay, like you do system.out.println in Java. You call the package name and the module name and then the function, so the same thing. Here we need to add the name of the package, the Python module. Math. Absolute, it's not in the math, but it's basically here in the ceil. So the absolute value is fine. It's not defined in the math package, but sale, for example, here, I need to do math.salex. Okay, now it's -2. Now, if I want to do for the other as well, floor, same thing. Okay, now, in order to fix this one, I need to do math.floorx. Okay, or if you don't want to use the prefix to make the code less verbose, so in this case, you can just define it as from math import everything. Okay, now, for example, if you make from math import sale, so sale will be defined, and floor will not be defined, exponential will not be defined, and so on. So if you import everything, that's fine, but of course, it will load everything in the memory. Okay, now efficiency-wise, it depends on how are you going to use this inside your code. So basic operators, you can add, you can subtract, multiply, divide, like basic operators in Java, same thing here. You can make the modulus, the exponential a power of b, and these are the different results. So for formatted printing, there is different way on how you can print, for example, a text with some variables. And now let's define 3 variables, string Muhammad and age 22 and GPA 3.4. Now this is the standard way of printing. For example, I want to print a statement. The student Muhammad is 22 years old. His GPA is 3.4. That's similar to what you do in Java as well. Okay, you put a string, then here a comma, and you put the variable name and so on. But there are different ways. We can do it in this way as well. So we can make placeholders, okay, and you put all the variables afterwards. So the student A is B years old, his GPA is G. And now you make dot format, A equal to name, G equal to GPA, and B equal to age. So you will define for each ID here, it corresponds to which variable. Or you just put an empty placeholders, and you need to specify in the same order here. So here, look, the order is not important because the ID is going to mention in which position it has to be. But here, if you put empty placeholder, the order will be important to match. Okay. Also, another way is if you want to print formatted, you can use %s, %d, and %.2f, similar to what you do in Java, in order to have a proper formatting of the output. Okay, so here I want only to show 2 floating points for the GPA. Okay, and here look, it will print it 3.40. Okay, so reading input from the keyboard. Now, if you want to read from the keyboard, you can use the function input. Okay, input your age. So, for example, now if I do this one, I make 29. The name, okay, for example, Muhammad. Welcome to this course, Muhammad. What is your age? For example, 29. And now it can print the whole thing. So this is, if you want, this is like what you do in Java, system.out, or no, system.in, scanner, yes, use scanner. So this is like a scanner in Java. Okay, so for conditional statement, which are the if statement, it's also simple. And of course here you need to define each if statement inside the particular block. For example, GPA, I don't know, 3.4, not bad. Okay, so here it will make an if statement. If GPA is smaller than 2.5, print fail. If smaller than 3.5, not bad. If else, it will be, for example, good here. And look, when you define an if statement, you put your condition, and then you have double colon. Okay, and inside the block, the indentation block, okay, automatically it will go to the block. Okay, and you can do your instructions. You can do as many instructions as you want inside the block. Okay. You can do also for loops, while loops in Python. It's a little bit different from what you know in Java. So basically here, okay, there are different ways. You can define a sequence. This is what we call a list. This is a list data type in Python. I think you had already the list in data structure course. Okay, it's a collection of elements. And here we can make a for loop for each element in the list or in the sequence. Print I equal, okay, so you can see it will make I plus 2, 0 plus 2, 3 plus 2, and 14 plus 2. Okay, so this is the way on how to make an if statement. We can also define a range. So a range up to 10, it will mean all the values between 0 and 10. So here we have how many elements? We will have 10 elements. It means from 0 to 9. Or let's try from 0 to 5. It will make it from, so the range of 5, it will make all the values between 0 and 4. So the number of iteration is not known when the number of iteration is not known in advance, we can use the while loop. Okay, you want, for example, to keep the loop only if a certain condition is satisfied, but you don't know how many iterations you will need to run until the condition is satisfied. So here, while flag equal to true, you will print n. Okay, if n mod 13 equal to 0, you go to false. So here, for example, if I use the initial value of 100, okay, it took 9 values to get outside. Now, if I change this, for example, to 45, okay, it takes less values. So the while loop, it depends. So the number of iteration is not known in advance. Okay. So this is the first notebook. Okay, let's go to the second one. It's simple, right? Okay. So today, when you go at home, you can just try to go over all these different instructions. Try to use your different instructions. Try to make some errors. Check what happens. Okay. But it's pretty much simple. So inshallah, tomorrow, after this introduction, you will be able to write sample codes. Tomorrow, we will do the OpenAI API, how you can send the request to ChatGPT using Python. Okay, so later on, you can develop your own chatbot. Okay, I will teach you on how you can develop your own chatbot using Python. And later on, we are going to do a web service. You develop a web interface, like I've done for PasteGPT. You can send your information through a web interface. It will go to Python, making the request to OpenAI, getting back the response, and you can have a chatbot. You can have a general chatbot using ChatGPT, and later on, you can make it for a particular application. Maybe, for example, health consultation, or financial consultation, or business consultation, or anything else. Okay, so now let's also go through the different data structures. So there are different built-in data structures. Python يعني من أكثر أشياء يمتاز بها البايثون هم الداتا ستراكشرز، وذلك علاش هو المستعمل في الديب ليرنينج، ومستعمل في الماشين ليرنينج، ومستعمل في كل ما عنده علاقة بالكمبيوتيشن. أوكي، لأنه داتا ستراكشر فيها سريعة جدا وسهلة الاستخدام. طبعا هو أسرع منه السي، لكن السي معقد نوعا ما. It's pretty much complex, more complex even than Java. Java بطيء نوعا ما. Java is mostly for heavy object-oriented structures. It's not pretty much used in scientific computing. But Python is actually number one in scientific computing. Now, what I'm going to present right now is the built-in data structure. The native data structure, you don't need to import any particular library. And I'm going to show you also the advanced data structure مثل NumPy, مثل الpandas اللي يعطينا functionality أفضل. Okay, so here we're going to discover list. It's something that you have already seen in Java, dictionary, tuples, and also sets. Okay, so let's get started. So a list, it's particularly are ordered. يعني every element is defined by a particular index. Okay, and has arbitrary object. It can have inside the same list. You can have int, you can have string, you can have float all together. You don't need to have مثلا في الجافا you need to have a list of int. You can do a list of object, and this object can be anything, but basically it's of the same type. So here it's like we have a list of objects that can be of any type. Okay, the list of element can be accessed by index and can have arbitrary depth or length, and it is mutable. What does it mean, mutable? It means you can remove element, you can add element. Like for example, this is different from tuples. Tuples are not mutable. When you define the tuple, you cannot change it. You cannot change it anymore. But list, you can change it. Dictionary also you can change it. And it's dynamic. It can have dynamic size. So let's make a few examples. Now this is my list equal to 1, Muhammad 3.2, and true. Okay, so this is the list how it looks like. It's a list of objects. It can be of any type. Okay, you can access an element in the list. Okay, so now I want the student ID. This is the student ID, this is the student name, this is the GPA, and this is whether it is a student or something else. So I can assign ID to my list 0, so it's the index 0. Here it's the index 1 for the name, and the GPA is at index 2. Look now, with ID GPA is student. Now you are familiar with this assignment, and here I will assign the two values. Okay, and then I can print. I'll find all the values. This is how we collect all the values from the list. And now you can also create a sublist. What does it mean, a sublist? It means I'm going to create a list that contains a subset of the initial list. Now I will collect all the values between 1 and 3. So how many values I have here? 0, 1, 2, and 3. So this will result, of course, 3 here, it's exclusive. It's not inclusive. When I say 3, the index 3 is not included. And the index 1 is inclusive. So this will result in selecting the values of Muhammad, which is at index 1, and 3.2, which is at index 2. 3 is not inclusive. And this is now the result of my list, my sublist. You can update the list. For example, I want to change, this is why we call it mutable. I can change any value inside the list. Okay, now if I print my list, it will have a different name. Okay, so it's possible also to use a for loop to go through all the elements of the list. Instead of printing value by value, I can make a for loop for every value in my list. And this is what we called sequence in the previous notebook. It's basically a list, and you can print the values in the particular order. Okay, it's possible also to use an index. Look now, this is enumerate my list, and we can print both the index and also the value. For index and X in enumerate my list. So enumerate my list is going to return two values, the index and the corresponding value. And now if I print the index and X, so this is at index 0 I have the value of 1, at index 1 I have the value of the name, and index 2 I have the GPA, index 3 I have the Boolean variable. Okay? So if you need to use the index inside the for loop, you can use enumerate. If you don't need to use the index, you can simply use this for loop. It's pretty much simple. Okay. So if you want to delete an element, look now we have 4 elements, and I want to delete the second element, which is the GPA. Now if I print the list again, the GPA does not exist. So the length of the list can be variable. I can add elements or I can remove elements. Okay, now my list 3. So this is 0, 1, 2. Now if I do the following, okay, let's take step by step. So what will happen now?
Adding an element.
It will add an element. Okay. No, here it's out of index. Adding an element is not similar to this one. Okay, so if now we access after deleting, so after deleting the one element here, so the third element is no longer accessible. Okay, you cannot access the third element because this is out of range. Okay. Okay, let's remove this one. Okay, so what operation we can do on the list? We can print the length. Okay, so now I have a length of 2, 0 and 1. We can do indexing and slicing. Okay, let me go back to the original list, this one. My list. Okay. Let's take this one right now. The element at index -2. Look, we can have negative index. لو نقول لك الآن at index 2. What is index 2 here? 0, 1, 2. It will be 3.2. Index -2, it will be, you will count from here. -1 and -2. Okay? You will count from the right side. What is index -5? -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Okay, so you can have the index from the left or also from the right. It's also to use a slicing. Okay, so we have the same list here. So what will this give? So this means all the element from 0 from the beginning until index 3. So this is my list left. Okay, it will take only 3 elements, 0, 1, 2. This is the left side. Okay, now let's take this one in the opposite. What does it mean? من الخلف. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3 elements من الخلف. My list right. Okay, the last 3 elements. Okay. You can also make concatenation. It means you have 2 lists and you concatenate between both of them. طيب, okay, let's stop here now. Tomorrow we are going to continue.